Hey everybody, welcome to D-Bronx Podcast, 2017 NFL Draft Lead-Up Edition. My name is Austin. I'm joined here with Kevin. How you doing, Kevin?
Hey, doing well, Austin.
And Ian, how you doing?
Not too bad, can't complain.
Awesome. Well, we've been doing some minute research for the draft. We are far from mock drafters like what's that, Todd McShay. We ain't anything like that. We're not digging up years of tape on these players.
It's called crapper research.
Crapper research, a little
Deal
bit
on the crapper.
That's essentially exactly what it is. For me, I mean, I've just been kind of going back and forth between different experts and kind of compiling like all together what they all are saying about specific guys, and hopefully you guys have been somewhere in that range. If you guys have actually been putting on tape for the past couple of years on these guys, I will be thoroughly impressed.
I had a
Kevin,
couple
have you
pro
been doing
days.
A couple pro days, huh?
Yeah, I did the pro day in D.C., Philly, and Indianapolis. I was there for the
Did you
combine.
Did you hit the North Carolina one to see a little bit of Mitch Trubisky?
I did not. I had a connecting flight that was canceled. Otherwise, I would have been there.
Oh, that's typical of airlines.
I was on United.
Was anybody dragged off and beat the crap out of on that?
No, not this time. But,
Not this time. So you didn't fly United. Good choice. So Ian has a little piece for us. Now, most of what we're going to be talking about is going to be as if the Broncos stay put in terms of where their draft picks are. However, I believe courtesy of me and Ian's cousin Kurt, Kevin's brother, he came up with a little bit of a trade that Ian's going to share with us. What was that trade that he came up with?
It's a little confusing if you read about it, so I'll just do the Cliff Notes version of it because it's absolutely absurd. And then it only comes out of a Cardinal man's mouth. So pretty much we would trade up to the 13th pick, get
With
Christian
who?
McCaffrey. To get Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
And that's only if Mitch Trubisky is gone in the first 10 picks, pretty much. And because they're looking for a quarterback in the first round. Obviously, Carson Palmer's probably going to be gone. Probably
So
after
it is.
this year.
So it's with the Cardinals.
Cardinals, and we would give up our third round pick, and obviously our 20th pick, and Paxton Lynch. It's insane.
We're jumping 7 spots, and we're losing Paxton Lynch, 20th round draft pick, and our 3rd round draft pick.
There are different iterations of that trade that involve more draft picks that even get more complicated. I think what started all this was the Cardinals coach, Bruce Arians, came out recently and he said that there was a quarterback they wanted last year that came off the board right before their pick, which obviously was Paxton Lynch. So the word is that Arians really likes Paxton Lynch. And apparently, these guys are so much into gamesmanship, right? You don't know why they're floating this out there, if they really want to make the trade or they're trying to throw someone off their trail in terms of what they want to do with that pick. I don't know if we'd burn any more calories on this subject, but it was reported in the Arizona newspaper. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It was something worth looking into.
Yeah.
But not worth doing as it stands, if that's actually what it ends up being.
I'd be highly disappointed, even though Christian McCaffrey is a great prospect, and we'd love to have, obviously his father was a Pro Bowler in our team.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
the Bruise.
Christian McCaffrey is, I think, predominantly, or the widespread consensus, favorite pick of the Broncos by fans. That's who everybody wants. Christian McCaffrey. However, in recent weeks, he has moved up draft boards to potentially be a top 10, top 15 pick. I just saw a mock draft where he's going, I think, number 14 to the Philadelphia Eagles. I saw another one where he was in the top 10. I can't remember who it was.
Carolina. He's been mentioning Carolina a lot because they need a running back. Stewart's old. I've also still seen him drop into the 20s. I've never seen a guy up and down the draft board like McCaffrey. We'll have to wait and obviously see what happens.
So I just wanted just so we're all clear on the picks that we have. We got 4 compensatory picks, and then we obviously have our standard picks. We have 1 pick in each of the first and second rounds, 20th overall and 51st overall. We have 2 picks in the third round, 82nd overall and 101st overall. We have 1 in each the 4th, 5th, and 6th rounds, 127, 177, and 203. And then we have 3 in the 7th round, 238, 252, and 253. That's a lot of picks, which means that the Broncos, especially with John Elway, there could be some movement in the draft, whether they move back or forward, whatever the case is, and when they do that is a mystery. But this looks like there could be a lot of movement in this draft.
Well, Austin, if you think about at least recent history, which is all we really have with Elway, he's been GM there. This is his 5th year, maybe 6th year. But last year he moved up in the first round to get Paxton Lynch. And then 2 years ago, he moved up in the first round to get Sean Ray. So his MO is he kind of targets someone, and he looks to move up. At least that's what he's done the last 2 years. So it wouldn't surprise me if he does it this year again with all the draft picks he has. I think the big question is, who's he targeting? Obviously, McCaffrey, Stanford, he's got to like that. His dad played for the Broncos. He's a legacy. And it's a position of need, running back.
Yeah.
But I would argue the bigger position of need is offensive line.
Yes. Offensive line, I think, is obviously, we're missing a left tackle depending on how things play out with the guys that we currently have. But
saying this is kind of a such a great draft for basically O linemen. It's
we need one. But there's a bunch of guys that are projected in the first round, offensive linemen. You got the guy out of Wisconsin, the tackle Ramczyk, the guy from Western Kentucky, Forrest Lamp, and
Bowles.
Forrest
Lamp.
Then
him too. So there's a few
Garrett
guys
Bowles, Forrest Lamp
that may be available for us.
And now just doing again the minute amount of research that I've done, and Cam Robinson, another guy. Of those guys with the 20th pick, I think if you were to go, let's say Christian McCaffrey's gone, and maybe some other guys that we'd be looking at are gone. I think Forrest Lamp, he's, by a lot of people, he's widely considered the best offensive lineman in the draft, but is not projected to go that ridiculously high. Now, by trade, he's a guard, but he's very versatile, has the ability to play outside and inside, is just an all-around talent from what I've heard, and yeah, so I think just based on what I've been looking at now, Garrett Bowles, he's widely considered one of the best as well. The only problem with Garrett Bowles out of Utah is that he's not a power guy. Now with the Broncos moving to a power system,
power guy.
There's concern that he may not fit the scheme that we're wanting to run, and then you might have a situation with who's that guy that Kansas City drafted that just never panned out? I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, tackle.
They drafted him early. Was it Fisher? Is that his name? Something like that?
Yeah, Fisher.
Yeah, and so, he's an insane athlete. He dominated the combine. Just obliterated the combine. But again, he's more of a zone guy, more of a speed guy almost in a sense. He's a smaller. I think he's just under 300 pounds, and more of a quick guy.
I haven't looked at any of the tape on these guys. So what I typically do is I go by their name. So I like Forrest. For an offensive lineman, that's a strong name. You want a Forrest in front of your quarterback right? I wouldn't draft that.
Very immobile, just stands there.
Well, listen, if it's a thick, heavily vegetated forest, no one's getting through there quickly. So that's what I would go for. I'd say take Forrest Lamp out of Western Kentucky, and hopefully he won't burn down like a forest fire. We'll see.
We'll see. So I mean, and that's, I think, now Christian McCaffrey, I think, is again widely considered the guy that
that's
we
who
want.
I want. That's who I want.
That's who everybody wants. But there's also another guy that has some potential if we miss out on Christian McCaffrey that we could get in the second round, maybe the 51st pick or something like that. Would be considered a steal. He's a running back / wide receiver, much like Christian McCaffrey. His name is Curtis Samuel, running back wide receiver. He ran a 4.31 40. The only reason that was not like widely, talked about was because he ran directly after Ross out of Washington, who ran a 4.22 and broke the record. So this guy follows up with a 4.31. He can take the handoff, run between the tackles. He can go outside, play wide receiver, returner. He's very much has all the tools like a Christian McCaffrey. A lot of people are considering to be kind of like a Tyreek Hill out of Kansas City, and that's somebody who, if we miss out on Christian McCaffrey, somebody that we could get in the second round, could be a huge addition if we do, like I say, miss out on McCaffrey. There's some other running backs as well that we can talk about a little later, but that's the one guy that just stood out as a guy that has a lot of the tools that Christian McCaffrey has. In case we were to
maybe never know that that Dalvin Cook guy might slide too, because he's up and down that draft board also.
Yeah, he's been vastly up and down. And I actually, who was it? I can't remember who it was. Bucky Brooks, from NFL Network. He actually stated that one of his bold predictions for the draft is that Christian McCaffrey is gonna go before Leonard Fournette, because Leonard Fournette doesn't have as many tools. Yes, he's a freak of nature, but he doesn't have as many tools as Christian McCaffrey is. Not able to use them in as many facets as Christian McCaffrey.
My guy is, I hope that we get. I mean, obviously I like Christian McCaffrey a lot, but if we don't get him, we don't get him. But another guy that's, I've seen him move up to pick 8, and I've seen him drop to us, pick 20. He's never gone past us. O.J. Howard out of Alabama.
O.J. Howard, yeah. No, I'm with you on that, but there's a lot of talk that he's going to go to the Jaguars early in the draft.
I'm getting tired of the Jaguars.
Right? I know. Who else was it they were saying that he might go to? I can't remember. But Jaguars is one that I keep hearing
they're
about.
saying he's the best tight end draft. The tight end prospects in the last 10 years.
Dude's a freak. Dude's a freak. But there are other guys, as you were talking about, I think last podcast.
Njoku.
Yeah. So that guy, Njoku,
dude.
David Njoku, could be a huge addition late. And there was another guy, actually, who's been not as talked about, though he should be more talked about if we're looking for a receiver to play tight end, is Evan Ingram from Ole Miss. This guy can line up as wide receiver if he wanted to. He ran a 4.42 40 in the combine. He's an insane athlete. Last year, remember college seasons are only 13 games or whatever it is. Last year he had 926 yards and 8 touchdowns for Ole Miss.
Pretty good.
Dude and because of his speed, he could be over the top, down the seams. He can be a possession guy because he's got great hands. So I think there's 3 legitimate tight ends that we could get in the first round if we decide to go. Because tight end obviously is another position of need that we have.
Yeah.
If we decide to go tight end, there's gonna be a good tight end that we could get in the first round if that's what we decide to do. So even if we do miss out on O.J. Howard, I'm not really gonna be worried.
Yeah, and I'm thinking,
you know what I mean?
Kind of, how Elway likes to take these risky picks like Shane Ray because he puffed a little weed, and then you got Roby had a little bit of some off-field issues.
Yeah.
How about a second
Peppers?
round if he not your little Peppers?
So he has that diluted sample.
Reuben Foster from
Alabama linebacker.
Yes.
I mean, he may slide back. We don't know.
Never know.
But if he does slide back, I don't know if he's going to slide back to the second round.
Oh no, he's a freak.
They may be tempted to take him in the first round if he slides that far, though.
Guys, let me throw out one other name that might sound familiar to NFL fans. TJ Watt.
TJ Watt, yeah.
So, listen, guys, we cannot have enough good defensive players. And this guy, like his brother, late bloomer, he's moving up the draft boards, and he's projected to maybe be a late first rounder, so he could be there at number 20, 6'4", 252. If he's like 80% of his brother, I say grab him. And he's a perfect guy for the 3-4 defense. We're still going to play 3-4, right?
Yeah, we are 3-4. Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw that out there. I like the name, T.J. Watt.
T.J. Watt.
Yeah.
If we could get T.J. and J.J. on the same team, we could just fire everybody else.
Because they're always saying like Clowney and Watt are the best 1-2 duo in the game. Get Watt, maybe TJ turns into a JJ Watt, and then you have the best
Von Miller
1-2.
and TJ.
Von Miller, yeah.
And Shane Ray.
That'd
be
awesome.
Shaq Barrett.
That's right.
Are you kidding me?
Hey, what is the deal with Texas A&M and edge pass rushers, right?
There's something going on over there.
Jarrett is consensus best player coming out, and it was only 5 years ago Von Miller. Man, they're doing something at Texas A&M. This guy, Jarrett, apparently is as good as, maybe even better than Von Miller, right? They're
Myles
projecting.
Yeah, he's not as fast off the edge as Von Miller.
I think,
explosive.
Dude, you seen that guy? He's a massive person.
Yeah, he is.
Poor guy.
I know.
He's
I don't know
and
if you
he'll go
guys.
to the Browns.
I don't know if you. I don't know if you guys heard this, but Warren Sapp was talking about Garrett and was saying that he's got a little bit of laziness to him. Takes plays off here now and again.
Warren Sapp? I thought he has a job in broadcasting.
He does.
Again?
He was arrested.
Again, wasn't it like 4 years ago he had to sell a Super Bowl ring?
Who's hired this guy? Where is he now?
I don't know who was that hired him. And I don't know. I don't know if he was even in broadcasting or if it was just something that they had him phone in or something like that. You know what I mean?
Just pulled that name out of the
phone
blotter.
In. That's a 1-800 number. Would he collect call phone in? He collect call phone in.
Oh yeah, and they had that recorded announcement. In the background.
And there's a couple guys who have actually stated since that came out that might be a little bit of a concern with him. That some people have actually agreed with that to some degree.
Does it have a high motor?
It doesn't have a high motor. It's not consistently.
What you need in the NFL is a high motor. You can't. I take a couple plays off.
What's that guy's name? Solomon something.
Hey, guys, sorry, real quick. I just got to make a comment. I'm looking through the projected, like a mock draft board like you guys are. I see, like, Alabama players are like every other pick. I've got five of them projected in the first 16. 5 from the same team. I mean,
Alabama is a borderline NFL team.
Borderline. I think seriously, this is unbelievable. 5.
They would beat the Browns 8 out of 10 games.
It's unbelievable what he does down there and drafts these guys. It's crazy.
But to get back to Texas A&M and the pass rushers that they consistently have, I think somebody needs to look into their research labs because they might be bioengineering dudes down there.
Where?
Because it's
they're cyborgs.
Texas A&M.
Dude.
Texas A&M. Yeah.
Pass rushers down there.
Yeah, between that, pass rushers and then the defense that what's his name always puts out of the field at old Tuscaloosa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we gotta start looking at their science labs. You're talking about I remember his name, Solomon Thomas.
That dude, a defensive end, who I think just based on what I've been doing, which is not drastically a lot, but he looks like he's going to be a guy who's more consistent than Myles Garrett. Now I think Garrett's going to be a guy who, he can probably take over a game from time to time, but I think Solomon is a guy who can do it on a more consistent basis, who can really just have that high
Stanford
motor
guy
all the
too.
time. Yeah, Stanford guy, and have that motor all the time as opposed to just some of the time. You want a guy, if you're going to be drafting someone that high, you want somebody who's going to do it all the time.
By the way, and remind you guys, the draft this year is in Philadelphia. There's a distinct possibility.
You haven't let us forget. You have not let us forget.
There's a distinct possibility I may make it down there. And if I do, I can't wait for the next podcast. I'll give you guys little eyewitness accounts.
We will be
rubbing elbows with the stars.
And we'll be looking closely for...
Who knows? Maybe I'm drafted. I mean, I'm pretty good size. Hey, somebody takes a flyer on this old guy over there in the 7th round. You never know.
Yeah, and the Broncos got 3 7-round picks. You may be this year's Mr. Irrelevant.
I'll take it. Fly me out.
If the Broncos stay pat with their last pick, it will be the first time they've ever drafted Mr. Irrelevant.
They have the last overall pick.
They have the last overall pick.
Really?
Yeah. We've
never had that before. We've never had a Mr.
We've never had a Mr. Irrelevant. So it would be the first time if we stay pat with it and actually draft somebody with it, as opposed to trading it out. But we'll see. Now, kind of moving on, we've talked quite a bit about the first round and who we would like and what we want in the first round. Now, I think I kind of compiled a little bit of a list here, kind of a round-by-round thing of guys who I think would be steals in different rounds of the draft, if they're available. Now, of course, it's also going to depend on whether or not we've already drafted for that position and things like that. But just a couple guys that I was looking into, positions that we've been needing or wanting. And one of the guys was actually a guy who's kind of a position need at defensive tackle in the second round. If we don't go get Curtis Samuel in the second round, having missed on Christian McCaffrey, this defensive tackle, Dalvin Tomlinson from Alabama, of all places, weird, right? This is a guy who is both a guy who can eat up blocks and hold the point of attack, while at the same time he's also a good interior pass rusher, who I think if we're able to get him in the second round, do it. Don't even look at other guys. I think because we need a defensive tackle who can be that kind of a guy. Because we saw when Sylvester Williams wasn't doing it, the team wasn't doing it. Because what was it, 130 yards we gave up per game in the rushing game last year? Oh. We need somebody who can eat up blocks and let Von Miller and Derek Wolfe and company get to these running backs in a hurry. And I think
I don't think D'Amico Pecco is that guy. Honestly, yeah.
I don't think he's going to be bad. I think he was a good addition, but there's a reason that he was let go.
Solid player. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be the all-in-all guy to do it and this is, second-round pick. May not be somebody who comes in as a starter from the beginning, but it's somebody who we need in order to, be a rotational guy when Pecco needs to come out, or, potentially take over the job maybe later in the season or going into next season. So
Austin, sounds like you did your homework. I'm starting.
I did a little bit of homework. I didn't.
Starting to think we have. Sorry, man. I'm starting to think we have Mel Kiper Jr. on the line here.
Mel Kiper Jr., huh? Mel Kiper.
Not his hair.
Or his beady little eyes. Poor guy. I like that guy actually, but no, I did some draft analysis, or not analysis, but just research. But again,
I think Jesse Palmer said today. It was either today or yesterday. He said expect Elway to, draft best player available rather than draft for team needs.
Yes, but if
they all say that, but typically it's a blend.
If it's a close, usually you don't know who is undisputed the best player in the draft in the second and third round. In the second and third rounds.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you might have like 5 or 6 guys who are potentially the best pick at that spot. You're going to take the guy in a position that you need. And again, these are just guys that I've been looking at who who could potentially be steals at their spot. Another guy, actually, I have another running back at in round 4, who I think could be potentially a good guy. I think both if we don't get McCaffrey and if we do get McCaffrey, and I'm actually going to throw out a couple running backs here in the case that we don't get McCaffrey. Kareem Hunt, Toledo is another guy.
I liked him a lot, dude.
Yeah, and he's a guy who he's had some weight fluctuation. He started out, I think, at like 217 or something like that, and then he lost a bunch of weight, and then he came back for his pro day, and he had put on a little bit more weight. He's kind of a vision power back. He's got great vision and patience, but he runs more between the tackles. He's not someone
Le'Veon Bell patience.
Oh God, or Christian McCaffrey even for that matter. I doubt that, but that's like a once in a generation kind of a guy. That kind of patience is just ridiculous. But he's a guy who's also got decent hands and can block in the backfield, so he's a jack of all trades kind of a guy, with the exception of, he's probably not as good running a sweep to the outside to the edge. Maybe not that. Maybe that's not his thing. So he's a 4th rounder, or I think a guy who would be a steal in the 4th round. Another guy in the 4th round, toss-up between these two guys is Marlon Mack, University of South Florida. This guy posted 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, had 32 career touchdowns, and he doesn't really look like a power back, but he's got sneaky power. He can truck a guy every now and again. And
South Florida, right?
Yeah, South Florida, yeah. And he's got the ability to catch out of the backfield as well. So
all right, well,
those are a couple guys.
Let me throw out a running back name, unless you had any other ones there, Austin.
I do, but not in the 4th, 3rd, or 4th round.
How about this one? Controversial name, Joe Mixon.
I like him.
All right, so this guy is a bad dude, right? I think, what was he, convicted of assaulting some woman in college or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
So I don't think – so first off, Denver brought him in. They interviewed him, put him through the paces. Denver's one of the few teams that – in Elway specifically, where you could get away with drafting a guy like this, right? Because people worship Elway. He can do no wrong. Mark my words, if Mixon drops to the 2nd round, Denver's going to draft this guy because he is a clear first-round talent from everything I've read. And I think a lot of teams are going to run from him. Elway doesn't have that kind of fear, particularly if he passed their interview. I don't like the idea of bringing a thug like that on the team. He doesn't seem like a good guy to me, but I would not be surprised.
Buccaneers do that.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Elway take him. You heard it on the podcast if it does happen.
I mean,
second round, not first round.
He's a great running back. He is a great running back. I mean, we've seen people, Jameis Winston. I mean, he didn't get convicted of rape, but all the fingers pointed at he probably should have.
Hey, Manning supposedly did some rude things to a woman in a locker room at Tennessee. Didn't scare Elway away. We won a Super Bowl trophy.
Didn't scare him away 15 years later?
No.
I think that's not a bad. I mean, Mixon, he's got talent. I mean, there's no doubt about his talent. They're just worried about, is he going to be suspended an average of 12 games a year, you know what I mean?
Uber talent, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, talent's there, but I think the last, I have only one more running back that I want to talk about because we've covered quite a few running backs, which will become fairly possibly null and void if we get McCaffrey. But another guy was James Conner from Pitt.
He was good.
Well, the story about this guy is he's got a great story. He overcame cancer and came back to play football.
Draft him.
So he's a cancer survivor. You draft him in the 1st round. I don't care, dude. This is just a great story. And he's a guy who runs with authority. Like, I'm talking power upon power. He actually broke a guy's face mask trucking him one time. No lie. Broke a guy's face mask trucking him. And he runs with, like I said, an anger, just a chip on his shoulder. And I think he's the ideal kind of a guy. 4-minute situations, you're trying to close out the game. He's the ideal kind of candidate for something like that.
You guys know Zeke Elliott for the Cowboys?
Yeah.
All right. And what was he, like the best running back in the league last year as a rookie, pretty much?
Yeah.
All right. That's Joe Mixon. That is Joe Mixon. He has that kind of skill. So I think it's going to be Mixon in the second round if, and only if, McCaffrey isn't gifted to us by trading up or he slides down the board, which could happen. But it could happen with McCaffrey. And listen, you guys know where I'm coming from here, but there is a sort of certain intangible about McCaffrey that isn't appealing to a lot of GMs when it comes to speed positions, particularly running backs.
Yeah.
It has to do with demography. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'll let our fans figure it out. So he could slide to us for that reason alone.
There ain't too many white quarterbacks out there. I mean, running backs out there.
Yeah, I know. But he'd be the only one in like 50 years.
Michael Robinson has him as one of his top 3 prospects in the whole draft.
Who's Michael Robinson?
Which, he former fullback for the Seahawks, Pro Bowl fullback for the Seahawks. He's an analyst on NFL Network now. He has him as he's actually I respect Michael Robinson a lot, but he has him as one of the top 3.
But where does Warren Sapp have him slotted? That's what I want.
Not interested. So yeah, and
your food probably.
The line of the podcast right there.
Yeah, but another thing that we've talked about in previous podcasts is wide receiver and what's going to happen behind Thomas and Sanders, right?
I think we go late round with a 1 or 2 wide receivers. I don't think we're.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a guy who's projected 5th or 6th round, out of Baylor. His name is K.D. Cannon. It's a good name. It's a strong name. K.D. Cannon.
Especially for a quarterback. That's a quarterback name, Cannon.
But he's a vertical threat, outside guy. He's got great speed, big playability. His stop and start quickness is just unheard of. The only one of the main knocks on him is that he didn't run a lot of routes in college. And at Baylor, I mean, consistently it's pretty much just hitches, slants, posts, and go routes. That's pretty much all they run. But we have a guy in Demaryius Thomas who also didn't run a lot of routes in college, and he turned out pretty good.
That's all he did.
He turned out pretty good. So
and Calvin Johnson.
Him and Calvin Johnson, and that's not something that scares me off at all. And he's a guy that would allow Sanders to play more on the inside. Now, again, maybe he's a 5th round guy. Maybe it's not this year immediately that he takes over the number 2 job, but a guy maybe down the line develops into that where Sanders can move inside, and then you have Thomas and him on the outside. Something certainly worth considering. Now another wide receiver that you could definitely consider taking earlier in the round is or earlier in the draft is got a Louisiana Tech, Carlos Henderson. He's projected probably 2nd or 3rd round, but he's like electric playmaker type. He had 23 touchdowns in 121 touches last season. So he scores a high percentage of his touches. So he's a guy who can break it open pretty much on any play. He's still raw, but his upside is ridiculous. And can you imagine having him as a wide receiver returner? Would not be mad about it for sure. And he would be such a great improvement over Jordan Norwood.
What if we just went and just got John Ross?
That would be a 1st round thing, dude. We'd have to get him.
I know it would be. I think we're talking about wide receivers. I think we're finally going to actually have a solid third guy, and a guy we already have in Jordan Taylor.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like I said, that tight end that I was talking about a little bit earlier, already drawn, Evan Ingram. That's a dude who could literally play on the outside if he wanted to. I mean, again, he's 230-some pounds, 440. The dude can flat run. So he's a guy who potentially could play on the outside if we decided to draft him, use him at tight end on 2 tight end formations, and use him as a receiver in, like 3 receiver sets, 3 to 4 receiver sets. So versatile guy. I mean, it's always good to have guys who can do multiple things. And just speaking on tight end, I mean, we've talked about O.J. Howard and Njoku, Evan Ingram. Actually, another guy that you can talk about later in the draft is a guy I had to dig deep on this one. What's his name? Oh God, it's Evan or Eric something. Eric Saubert. That's his name. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy or not. Again, I had to dig deep, but he's probably a 6th or 7th rounder out of a very small school by the name of Drake University. Never even heard of it until looking at this guy.
I've heard of it, but
he has 4.6 speed, athletic. He'd be more of a long-term project, probably not an immediate impact, which is why you draft him later in the round. But he moves like a wide receiver. I saw a couple plays, just a few little plays that I saw of him. I mean, he high points the ball. He goes and gets the ball. He doesn't just let it come to him. He goes and gets it, and that's something that's hard to teach. If a guy's been catching with his body his entire career, you can't really teach him to not to this late in his career. So this is a guy who will go up and get the ball and high point it, which is what you
teaching Tebow how to throw.
I'm sorry.
Like trying to teach Tebow how to throw again. Completely different from the way he played his entire career.
I know, but there was rumors going around that he had figured it out, but who knows? So yeah, I mean, tight ends. I think again, tight end. I mean, and then this name Bucky Hodges from Virginia Tech. Didn't do a lot of research on him, but he's a guy who I've heard a lot about. The Broncos taking like the third or 4th round. So tight end is a position in this draft that's deep, and that I'm not worried about. I think we're gonna get a good tight end regardless of where we take him. I think we can get a good tight end in this draft without a doubt.
I agree.
So that covers. Go ahead. I was gonna say that covers the main positions that we've been needing, being offensive line. A deeper running back class because we like Devontae Booker, but he just did not perform well last year, and you need another guy besides C.J. Anderson. Defensive tackle, middle of the defense for the run defense, and then wide receiver beyond Thomas and Sanders, and then tight end. Yeah, and then tight end. So other than that, I mean, guys that you can draft are just going to be depth positions. Like if you draft a cornerback or a safety or a linebacker, those are predominantly going to be depth picks. You know what I mean? Where it's going to be somebody who is probably not going to be starting right out the gate like some of these guys that we're talking about may do. So,
that's
only
those are guys, 3 days away.
3 days away. It's as of this recording, it's Monday. Probably get this released on Tuesday, so probably be listening to it Tuesday, Wednesday. But yeah, 3 days away. We're looking forward to it. Kevin, I want you down there. We need live look-ins. We need intel directly from the lines. I mean, from the front lines of the draft.
Gentlemen,
are you ready
I've
to
got
handle
to jump off because I'm going to start my preparation for the NFL draft trip, which is only about 20 miles from where I am. So I do have to sign off. I'll let you guys wrap it up. So hopefully we can get back together maybe next week and talk about the actual
We're gonna get together
draft.
and talk the picks that we actually ended up taking. So Ian and I are just gonna finish it up with some just looking over the schedule. The schedule that was released for the
you guys
Broncos.
can get into that.
So Kevin, we'll talk to you later. It's good having you
gentlemen.
on, and can't wait to
Kevin.
get some of those live look-ins during the draft.
Got it.
Looking forward to it. Have a good
y'all
night.
Later. Thanks, man.
So, Ian, the schedule was released.
Oh.
And wouldn't you have it, the New England Patriots have the easiest schedule?
Always have the easiest schedule.
Well, that's because they have the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins in their division.
Not even fair, dude. I think they should swap. I think every year we should swap divisions, dude, because I really want to be in the AFC East, dude.
I know, but it wasn't that long ago that it was good being in the AFC West.
Yeah, I mean,
for a while, the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs sucked. Well, the Chargers were the ones who were, somewhat of a threat each year.
We still kind of suck because we won with. I mean, Tebow did great for what it was, but that 2011 campaign, man, we snuck in there at what 8-8.
It was 8-8, yeah. And we snuck 8-8, and we won the division. Are you kidding me?
We were divisional champs, dude.
At 8-8, that is disgusting. I think it was 8-8. It might have been 9-7, but I'm pretty sure.
Because I always thought that was kind of. I always thought that they should do it like the college football system. Like there's no way that. So somebody's 8-8 wins the division because there was times there was a 7-9 team that won a division, got into the playoffs. There was somebody that was 9-7 that was third in the division like us last year. Look at that! I'd be like. They try to change these little rules. Oh, move the kickoff 35 inches in front, We don't want another concussion, but not tackling the real issues.
Or the move of making it so you can't jump over the center on kickoff or field goal attempts.
Yeah, Justin Simmons probably mad about that one.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Come on, that was my biggest play of the year, dude.
But
and then the couple INTs that he had, which was a good breakout. I mean, not breakouts, he's a rookie. I like that guy.
I like him too. He's I think he's good. And him and Will Parks. I mean, two good safety picks. There's some good safeties in this draft, but we're just a little fan based podcast. We're not gonna get too in depth with everything.
We don't need. I don't think we need too much safety help. I mean, probably pick up one later in the draft. Because it's a pretty deep draft for safeties. When they got like 4 or 5 safeties like off the board in like the first like 25 picks.
Yeah, it's nuts. And then
never see it. It's usually
like
one
Jabril
safety.
Peppers. That guy is he's a safety, but he plays literally everywhere. It seems. So
from
even
Michigan.
Yeah. Although he's got obviously. Issues now with the diluted sample or whatever. So
they're so ridiculous with this. You can't even take cough syrup, and they're like, "You're performance enhancing now." You're like, "Nah,
cheater,
dude, I'm sick."
But I'm looking at the schedule here. I know we've already talked about some games that we plan on going to. November 5th, obviously, is the one Kevin's super stoked about. November 5th
That's Philadelphia.
Is at Philadelphia. So there's a good chance we'll be at that game. And then December 24th, Christmas Eve, in Washington against the Redskins. And the reason that we'll be at those games, or that we plan to be, is because Kevin, number one, lives in Philadelphia. And then Ian and the rest of our family live in Virginia. So it's only a couple hours to get up to Washington.
Yes, it only takes about 3 hours to get to Washington.
3.5 hours, yeah.
But like I said, like what I'm gonna do, which I'm gonna tell everybody, is the easiest way to get it. Like when I went to the Redskins game last year with my buddy for his birthday.
Yeah.
We just parked our car, took the train in there, and then took the train out. So there's no, you bypass all that DC garbage traffic.
Well, Kevin and I went years ago to when Cutler. No, I'm wrong. Not when Cutler, but
this is when Chris Sims was there.
Kyle Orton and Chris Sims were there. Kyle Orton went out, and Chris Sims had to come in after halftime.
Is that the one where he completed 2 passes for the rest of the game?
I think so. We were at that game.
The game that Kevin said that you were like cursing Chris Sims' name, and he was like the worst human being on the planet.
Oh, I was cursing left-handed quarterbacks entirely, just the entire
right.
generation of left-handed quarterbacks. Because Chris Sims was left-handed. But we went there, and that's exactly what we did. We parked maybe a mile from his apartment, and then we just drove rode the train in, which is exactly what we did in Denver last year. We just
easier because just parking is just
it's a nightmare.
Denver is DC's got the worst traffic in the country. Consensus.
DC, Baltimore.
Yeah, DC, Baltimore. Yeah, they're right up there because they're close to each other too.
Yeah,
but it's because you take the train, dude, you get right off. You're right by the stadium. You just walk there, get back on the train, pick up your car, go. You're back at home. Say, what time's the game? I looked and I forgot.
In the Washington game?
Yeah.
1 p.m. Eastern.
Got the 1 p.m. game?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, we're good.
We're good. We're good.
We're good, dude.
Instead of going to the 4:25 or whatever they are.
Don't want to be the late game, dude. I mean, I would go either way. I just would be like cruising in like Christmas, all hammered and.
Oh god. Oh, dude. But I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm gonna go just kind of quick, game by game, wins losses. Okay. This is now.
This is very rough. This is a very rough prediction.
Now let me preface it with this as well. This year I'm more clueless on how we're gonna do than I think I've ever been.
Last year I was pretty.
Last year I was much more confident than the final results showed. That's for sure. And so now I'm trying to take in last year's results and
like 13. I think I picked it to be 13-3.
I predicted them, I think, to be 11-5 or 12-4.
I think I was a little overzealous. I was like, oh yeah, this Trevor Siemian kid,
they're gonna do it all. They're
gonna Lynch kid. Who needs an O-line, dude?
Who needs an O-line? Okay, week 1, Monday Night Football against the LA Chargers.
Oh, dude, we're gonna murder them, dude.
And it's in Denver.
Goff was like the worst quarterback last year.
That's the wrong team. That's the Rams. I'm talking about the Chargers.
You said the Chargers?
Yeah.
We win still, but
in Denver.
Got it. Okay, we did beat them last year in Denver, but we did lose. Now they're in a new stadium
in San Diego. Well, now the stadium they're playing at. It's only got like 20,000 seats.
Playing at a high school.
It's like a college stadium or something like that, or a like multi-purpose stadium or something.
Playing at the Coliseum like the Rams.
Nope.
They got screwed.
They got screwed on that move. So I'm predicting a win. You're predicting a win. Dallas Cowboys in Denver, week 2. Yeah, you're predicting a win. I'm predicting a loss. Unfortunately.
I think our man. Max Prescott's gonna. I think last year was kind of a fluke a little bit.
I think he's gonna be good, but I don't think he's gonna be as good. Or maybe he will be because maybe he takes a jump.
I think he's gonna take a little bit of a step back a little bit.
Mm.
They lost some stuff on the O line,
including Ronald Leary to us. Week 3 at Buffalo in New York. So I got him 2-1. You got him at 3-0. I predict a win there. Oakland Raiders in Denver. That's a hard one.
That's the scary team for me this year, dude.
Yeah.
I say
I give Denver a slight edge because they're at home.
At home, they win there, but when we get to there.
So you got them at 4-0. You got them starting like we did last year.
Yeah.
Then we have our bye in week 5, which I hate that we have a bye that early.
I'd rather I like week 9, week 10s.
That's exact. Well, that's the prime time. That's
it's to get everybody everybody chill out for a minute.
Yeah, week 5 is
just
too
getting
early.
Started in week 5.
Yeah, and then in Denver against the Giants.
I think Giants beat us.
Okay, we both have them losing. So
Giants beat us.
I have them at 3-2. You have them at 4-1. I think Giants.
That only depends, and that's going to go 2 different ways. You're going to win because you know how erring of a thrower Eli Manning is. He's
not the most accurate quarterback.
He can throw 5 touchdowns one game and then throw 3 picks and 2 touchdowns the next game. And judging by our defense, where basically everybody on our secondary are ball hawks. It could go either way. If he is feeding the ball to OBJ, all right, dude.
My tiebreaker is the fact that they have a very, very, very good defense. And number 2, they got Brandon Marshall as a red zone threat, and he's going to be playing in Denver, and he wants to do good against Denver. Guaranteed.
I forgot about Brandon Marshall.
But we both have them losing, so let's move on. I want to make this too quick. I don't want to analyze each game. Playing at the StubHub Center in Carson, California against the Chargers. Okay.
All right, dude. We're just gonna say we should get a ticket to that, just to like photo cut. Like we did. We're the one of like 2,000 fans here.
Okay, so I have them winning that game. What do you say?
That we win, dude.
Okay.
I feel bad for Rivers, but
Rivers, yeah.
It just came to us.
Yeah. So week 8 in Kansas City.
Probably gonna lose that one.
Okay, I have them losing that game as well. You and I both. Week 9 at Philadelphia.
Win.
We both have them winning. I have them winning as well.
We're gonna be there.
Sunday Night Football, Week 10. New England Patriots.
Sunday Night Football, New England dude, we're done.
In Denver.
Oh, in Denver? Brady has his worst win-loss record in Denver. We win.
Actually, we both have them winning that game.
Yeah.
I'm
if
nervous
we're playing
about
in
it.
New
It's
England,
never
it'd be
sure
a different
thing.
story.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Tom Brady will have that legendary fall-off like Peyton Manning had between one season and the next. I don't see it happening, but
I'm not hopeful. In Denver against Cincinnati Bengals.
when
Yep, we both have them winning that game, though it's not going to be an easy game.
I don't know.
At Oakland. Yep, I have them losing that as well. At Miami.
Oh, we're gonna win that one, man.
I actually have them losing that game because they're a tougher team than anybody gives them credit for. They got on a hot.
No, they're a
streak late
tough
in the
team.
year. Got on a hot streak late in the year last year. In Miami, I have Denver
dude.
losing.
I'd like to go see a Broncos game in Miami.
I'm not convinced. I'm not like definitive they're gonna lose that game, but
Remember the last time we played Miami? You remember that game?
yeah, Tebow, the comeback.
Dude. Come back in 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes or something. Yeah, it was ridiculous. New York Jets in Denver.
And that one, nobody's sweeping us, dude.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets are gonna. At Indianapolis, Thursday Night Football.
Indianapolis always beats us, dude. We lose that game.
I think we win that game because we always lose against them. It's got to turn around at some point. At Washington Redskins.
We're on Christmas Eve, dude. Don't spoil my Christmas. They win.
You have them winning. I have them losing.
Losing to the Skins? Kirk Cousins? Terrell Pryor?
Week 17.
They lost all their wide receivers. They got the same wide receivers as they got Terrell Pryor. He's a beast, though.
Week 17, Kansas City in Denver.
Win.
I have them winning that as well. So, I'm going to come up with our totals here. I have them finishing 10-6. You have them finishing 12-4.
Last year, baby.
I think you did 13-3 last year.
Well, 10-6,
and then they won 4 to start the season. And you're like, we're going undefeated this year, and I wanted to slap the shit out of you because you jinxed it. Excuse my language, listener.
No, dude. Sometimes you got to cuss when it comes to the Broncos, even if they're winning. You ain't sat on the couch with me. You ain't been in a Buffalo Wild Wings when we're losing and or winning.
So you have them at
12-4.
I have them at 10-6. I'd like to get in contact with Kevin at some point, see what he would have him finish. But anyways,
Kevin's gonna be around. I think he'll be in between us. I think he can get him
11
at
and 5 maybe. 10
11
and
and
6 somewhere in
5.
that range.
Yeah, 10 and 6, dude. That's still tough, dude. Still tough. We might not win a division 10 and 6.
Yeah, but I do think that even if we don't win the division, a high chance that we make wild card. As a matter of fact, I don't think 10 and 6 wins the division, but I do think it gets us a wild card.
The Raiders and the Chiefs have harder schedules than us.
That's false.
Think so?
We have the hardest schedule.
It did when I looked over it.
Well, it's very similar because we're playing the same divisions.
That's true, but there's a couple wild cards in there.
Okay. Well, I mean that's it for this week. You have anything to finish off with, Ian? Anything to add?
I just can't wait for the draft, dude. It's my favorite time of the year.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited for the draft. So Thursday.
I'd be the only person that sits and watches all of it.
Yep. Following the draft next week, we'll be reviewing picks. So be sure to join that. Also, this will be our first episode, as long as everything goes according to plan. It'll be our first episode on YouTube, which we will subsequently try to get onto iTunes.
We'll send out the link.
If you end up listening to this only on SoundCloud, then that means that it failed and we weren't able to get it on YouTube and iTunes. But the plan is to get this on YouTube and iTunes from this point moving forward. So be sure to subscribe to those channels if it ends up going correctly, as we hope. From Ian, from Kevin, who's no longer with us, and myself, thank you for joining us. And we'll talk to you next week following the draft.